Hello, I'm Bob Schieffer, and welcome to the CBS Evening News Online edition. Just ahead, more on the alleged terror plot that targeted the New York City subway system. Also, a soldier story. We'll look at the remarkable progress being made in the repair of devastating head wounds. And you'll never expect to find lead in a child's lunchbox, but one mother did. That's the Friday Consumer Alert. It's all starting now in the CBS Evening News Online edition. Yesterday, it was what officials were calling a detailed terrorist threat against the New York subways. And today, with the nation on hair-trigger alert, a phony bomb threat at the Washington Monument caused an evacuation there and brought out fighter planes over Washington. So far, nothing has come of the New York threat, but what to make of it apparently depends on which officials you ask. We're going first tonight to Jim Stewart in Washington. Jim?
Bob, the first inkling U.S. officials had about this alleged plot came from an informant to the Defense Intelligence Agency in Baghdad. The man offered names, dates, times, places, and how the attack would take place, and at first, it all sounded plausible.
The man said the attackers came from a group called Ansar al-Islam, an al-Qaeda-affiliated group that has operated on the Kurdish border and was once headed by Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, the man now running the Iraq insurgency. The informant said the attackers, some of whom he referred to as pharmacists, came from Iraq, had been sent for training to the Pakistan-Afghan region, and were to join other volunteers already in the United States for suicide attacks on the New York subway. He even offered details about how the attackers would use briefcases and baby strollers to hold the bombs. Based on those conversations, FBI agents arrested 3 men during raids in Baghdad earlier this week. But allegations about those men have now been resolved. There is no evidence any would-be attacker ever came to the United States, and although the informant showed no deception when he was hooked to a polygraph machine, there is no conclusive finding he was telling the truth either. One U.S. official told us flatly he believed the informant was deceptive and untrustworthy. As New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg put it later, truth was in the eye of the beholder.
The FBI attached more credibility to a lot of this information than other agencies. That's just a fact of life, and you'll never get consensus in the intelligence community, I think, on any one thing.
Still, when all was said and done, intelligence analysts across the board had rarely seen a warning filled with as much specificity as this one, including the date of the purported attack this Sunday, October the 9th. So whether you believe it or not makes no difference, said one New York official. The one thing you can't do is ignore it. Bob?
Jim, the one question that I have about all this is while the FBI did seem to take it seriously, the Homeland Security Agency did not. What was the difference between those two federal agencies? Why couldn't they come together on this?
The best I can get on that, Bob, is that the FBI had some notion that this informant was telling the truth. Other officials believed that he had been deceptive. They had knowledge of prior information he'd given. They just didn't rate it that highly, and none of it, frankly, was checking out. There was too much devil in the details there, Bob.
With the latest Marine deaths in Iraq, the total number of American service members killed in the war is now at least 1,945. Almost 15,000 more have been wounded, some so severely that for them this war will never be over. Which brings us to the remarkable story of a young hero, Paul Statzer, and some miracle workers at Walter Reed Army Hospital. This is a difficult story to watch in some places, but if you do, and I don't say this very often, you'll be glad you did. Here's David Martin with our inside story.
Does that bring anything back to you?
Sergeant Paul Statzer is wearing that helmet and eye patch because of what happened last March in Iraq. In a moment captured in photographs, his unit was checking out a crater left by a roadside bomb when another one went off. You can't see him, but Statzer is inside that cloud of smoke and shrapnel, some of which is still in his body.
You mind if I...
Yeah.
That's metal.
Yeah. There's like 3 big pieces of it.
And you wear that helmet for...
Because I don't have a pad, I don't have a skull here, so...
You don't have a skull here?
No.
Do you mind if we ask you to take off your helmet?
No, come on.
Wow. You lost a lot.
Including part of the frontal lobe of his brain and his left eye. If you're shocked by his appearance, You'll be stunned to know Paul Statzer is going to be all right.
Yeah.
So what are they going to put in there?
Cranioplasty, a piece of plastic that fits in there.
A piece of plastic designed by Dr. Stephen Rouse is being molded by a computer-controlled laser to make an exact fit with Statzer's skull.
Now, how much of his head is he really missing?
I think this shows it very clearly. It's a very large opening in the side of his head.
That's him?
That's him.
That's like half his head.
Yes, sir, it is.
Using that plastic plate, surgeons will rebuild Statzer's skull and give him an artificial eye. Apart from scars left by shrapnel, he should look like he did before.
And to the patients, that makes a phenomenal difference. They feel like they have their own face back. They don't.
If you think Rouse is just saying that to buck up Statzer's spirits, check out Sergeant Scott Thorne.
That's a significant wound. It's quite disfiguring.
Here he is 3 days after surgeons installed the plastic plate Rouse crafted for him.
And the previous injury is just gone.
2 months later, Thorne threw out the opening pitch at a Major League Baseball game. Rouse has treated 10 soldiers with severe head wounds, and he says 8 of them will have pretty normal lives.
Being able to go back to exactly what you were doing before probably is not an option for most of them. Being able to go back to a fully successful, rewarding life is.
Statzer should have no trouble going back to his civilian job tending bar.
Yeah, I'm a little slow on certain things, but not that bad.
But is he really the same person? Ask his father.
When you look at him now,
Oh, yeah.
what do you see?
Oh, I see the grace of God. Okay, he's alive. And they never really thought that he'd survive.
But is he the boy
Oh,
you
yeah.
sent off to war?
Oh, yeah. He's the same kid. He's going to have some problems, but that's part of his sacrifice for our country.
David Martin, CBS News, Walter Reed Army Medical Center.
You see kids everywhere carrying those cute little vinyl lunch boxes to school. Well, it turns out some of them may be harmful because they are lined with lead. But there's a dispute over the danger. Sandra Hughes tonight with our Friday Consumer Alert.
When 5-year-old Henry Smith sat down for his lunch at Berkeley's Monteverde preschool, his mom was certain he was getting a healthy meal until she did a home test and found his Spider-Man lunchbox had lead in it.
I was kind of angry and I was a little bit scared. I put the fruit just directly in here to avoid more packaging. So there's this, this wonderful organic fruit that my son's taking to school every day sitting on lead-based PVC.
Julie Silas' daughter Ariana is Henry's classmate.
I can't believe there might be lead in my kid's lunchbox after all that we know about lead.
The two moms found out about potential lead in children's soft vinyl lunchboxes after a local group called the Center for Environmental Health did independent testing on the popular new lunch totes with faces of superheroes and pretty princesses. The group says 2 in 10 turned up positive for lead.
This one's the highest one, and this Angela Anaconda has 90 times the federal limit for lead in paint on toys.
What's a concerned parent to do? Well, home lead testing kits like this cost about $8 and are pretty easy to use. Just crush the kit until a yellow substance appears, swab the outside and the inside of the lunchbox. Pink or red mean lead. If no color appears, no lead is present. This lunchbox has lead in it. The Consumer Product Safety Commission, a federal agency which regulates lead, says the home tests can be unreliable. Recently, they did their own testing of vinyl lunchboxes. They would not reveal how many lunchboxes they tested, but admit they did find levels of lead in some.
We found consistently less than 1 microgram of accessible lead in these vinyl lunchboxes, and that's not a toxic level. Indeed, it's a very low level.
The Center for Environmental Health counters that when it comes to children, no amount of lead should be in a kid's lunchbox.
What will happen is that lead will be added to all the other lead that they're exposed to. And because lead causes brain damage and learning disabilities, this is an exposure that can be stopped very easily.
At this point, a cautious parent might just want to brown bag it. Sandra Hughes, CBS News, Berkeley, California.
More stories are just a click away, but don't forget to join me on television for the on-air edition of the CBS Evening News. On Monday's broadcast, the war in Iraq is one of the most pressing issues of the day, but how do Americans really feel about it? To find out, Sharon Alfonsi is taking a 2-week CBS News road tour that we're calling the Home Front. For CBSNews.com, I'm Bob Schieffer.